Radio Network.
Blog Talk Radio.
It's a great Tuesday night in the Atlanta metro area. Tonight's show is a featured broadcast supported by our new sponsors that are supporting the Loudmouth Radio Network. Fletcher & Sons Auto 2 Repair of Jonesboro, Georgia at 7363 Terra Boulevard. Bright Car Spa at 360 Edgewood Avenue in the Atlanta, Georgia market. Their number 404-913-4980. You may also visit them online at brightcarspa.com. And for all our Loudmouth Radio listeners, we have a fantastic promotion that's being offered for a $60 mini detail with a hand car wax. So make sure you contact them today and follow them also on Twitter at Bright Car Spa. We're also very, very happy to announce the collaboration of a grand opening celebration in Stockbridge, Georgia this weekend, July 12th, 13th, and 14th. 3 full, exciting days of celebration at the new Savory Southern Cuisine Talope's in Stockbridge, Georgia at 282 East Atlanta Road in Stockbridge, Georgia. Talope's is a family-owned business that has a proud heritage, some very tasty recipes, and this weekend we will actually be present at the grand opening celebration on Friday and Saturday. Your own host of In the Studio and producer of Loudmouth Radio will be hosting Friday and Saturday night. Friday night show is going to be awesome. The Loudmouth Comedy Show is going to kick off, along with a spectacular following of Al Bates, the ATL Band, with their beautiful live jazz and blues. And we'll also have some featured opportunities to broadcast with Loudmouth Radio on location. We're also going to have a live DJ, T. Rocker, on location doing her thing. So we want to make sure that you come out and make sure you're present and tell a friend. Saturday night, a live band performance from the R&B sensation singer Keisha Jackson. This is going to be a phenomenal event, guys. So if you have some time in your schedule, make sure you get down to Talope's at 282 East Atlanta Road. It's been a long day, guys, so if I'm correcting myself a little bit, just bear with me. I want you to make sure you go online and check out this information. It is on our Facebook page as well as our Twitter page and Taloopes.com. And the spelling of that is TOOLOOPEAS, so that you can check out this information. And for those who are going to church on Sunday, come over after church and dine with your family and enjoy the ambiance of a good, down-home, hearty meal. They'll be serving lunch or dinner at 11 a.m. So for more information, you also can call 678-289-0912. It's going to be food and drink specials, and most importantly, it's a free entry. I mean, you're getting a spectacular entertainment show the entire weekend. So if I were you, I would make it a date. And we also want to recognize our sponsors, Bright Car Spa and Fletcher & Sons Auto 2 Repair, that specializes in foreign and domestic vehicles. So we hope that everything is well with our family in the metro Atlanta area and beyond. Of course, you can always contact us at our multimedia offices at 706-363-3895. Now it brings great pleasure for me to allow your hostess of the evening, the Bare Truth, Love, Life, Sex, and Flowers, Miss Jazzie Jones.
Hello, everybody. I almost feel like singing a song. I feel like I've been off the air for so long. We are now in our season summer break. So we are playing for you our phenomenal. I think I started this whole show off. My very first show, my word of the night was phenomenal. So we're starting this evening off with another phenomenal pre-recorded, archivable show that we did called In Denial. And it was a wonderful opportunity for me and you and our guests to come on and talk about the denials in the church. And so we wanted to take this time to play that for you again because, you know, sometimes we are so busy with work and life and things that we don't get an opportunity to listen or to hear or to go or to experience those things that we wanted to. And I know you guys have been faithful supporters, and so I know you want to hear that again if you missed it. So grab your tea. We just got some tea here because we've been talking all day on other jobs and building the show up. We've been talking about some really great opportunities that are coming up, and the new series is going to start in August. We will be going back live, so we need all of you to like our page, hit our Facebook, our Twitter, follow the things. I know some of you have been so supportive and saying, hey, I see you out there in Atlanta. Occasionally I will post pictures of what Loudmouth is doing, and the producer and I are always hanging out and finding spots to go out and promote and produce. Roderick Watkins and JL do as well. So we want you to sit back, grab your tea, grab your coffee, your choice of drink, kick your feet up, relax, and get ready for the show that's upcoming. But I just kind of wanted to emphasize the event that's going on this weekend, where we will have our host in the studio. Producer Sabrina Sunny Spoon Smith is doing it real big, and she's bringing some of the funniest comedians. Oh, my God. Just wait, sit back. She's kind of keeping their names quiet, so I won't mention Gina and Wall Street and Joel. I won't say anything about them because, you know, she's kind of wanting to keep them under wraps. But, baby, when I say hilarious, I have laughed until I have just hit the floor crying and had to actually use my asthma pump at one of their shows. So, guys, do not miss, please hear me well, do not miss this free show, because me personally, if I was doing the promotions of this under my own company, trust and believe you would be paying for the entertainment, because at the end of the day, people got bills to pay. All I'm saying. But nevertheless, the owners of this fine restaurant, actually I thought I was in Atlanta out at Stockbridge. You know, I do most of everything in Atlanta. Love the inner city. And quite frequently when we're traveling around, we're seeing it's nice areas, but it's not a lot to do in the surrounding areas. So here's a family that has opened up a Southern cuisine. The food is excellent. And any of you that knows me know, if I go to a restaurant, I pretty much order the exact same thing. I don't switch. I don't even look at the menu again. That is it. And I've gone there, and the food, amazing. The cooks, the chefs, the wait staff, everybody is really wonderful. And for it to be a new place, it really gives you that feeling that you have been there, and it has been there for a very long time. The ambiance, amazing. They have done a grand job. It is huge. It is comfortable. It is a place that you want to drive to get away from the hustle and bustle and really sit back and enjoy yourself. So don't miss the free opportunity to enjoy the comedian herself. Loudmouth is a mess. We crack up all the time at her. Sunny is just hilarious. The band, that ATL band, honey, trust and believe. We saw them perform last year, and they've performed for some really huge bands. So, and they've been a part of a lot of big groupings. So a lot of those people you would know. Come out, hear them, jam with them, dance with them. It's big enough to do all of that, eat, dance, and be merry. But then on Saturday night, also Miss Keisha Jackson, honey. Yes, I said it. Keisha Jackson, Miller Jackson's daughter, about to get it in. And I didn't see her for a very long time. I had the opportunity to speak with her and talk with her and enjoy her concert a couple of years ago down, I think, at Taboo 2. So she's going to grace us all the way from Finland. I believe she just got back from Finland, just coming into town to blow our socks off. So, guys, don't miss free, and great food, great entertainment, and a very relaxing time. I have missed you, and I'm really glad to have the opportunity to, after talking all day and having some really funny experiences, very comical. You know, life plays you some comics, and you either have to laugh with it and through it or at it, or you have to be consumed at some of the comedies that life will throw you. So I have chosen today, throughout this very long and funny day, to just laugh with it and expect the best in spite of everything that has been thrown into my seat today. I'm happy. I'm extremely grateful. I value myself, and I value you as listeners. And we want to just take this time to bring to you an awesome show. So sit back, get comfy, and hear some really just amazing people. Dr. Kay Jarrell, our PhD, is really going to come in and tell us some things. Sharon Jameson joined us on that show. Reverend Rose called in all the way from New Jersey. She was a blessing to my very inner core. And Sharon Jameson and Imani Evans really blessed us that night. So we want to bring that blessing back to you. Sit back again and enjoy the ride of the show. Good night. We will see you again live in
Good
August.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bare Truth.
The show. We will be doing the show live from Toulouse on Friday. Good night, everyone. Love you much. Peace.
Seven 826-7520. This show, The Bare Truth, Love, Life, Sex, and Flowers with Miss Jazzie Jones, airs every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We want to thank everyone for tuning in this evening. We're in for a great show tonight. We're very excited to be able to bring you these live shows each and every week. Be sure to tune in with us as we broadcast Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays. And upcoming in the month of May, we'll be looking to launch 3 new shows on Loudmouth Radio. So we want to make sure you stay tuned and follow us. You can find us right on Blog Talk Radio by searching Loudmouth Radio, LOUDDMOUTH. For all those that are on the internet listening to us live, this program is also available for download and on demand anytime after 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Loudmouth Radio is one of the Internet's hottest online radio networks. Our talk radio shows cover topics that are geared towards empowerment, inspiration, and entertainment. Connect with us live, online, on demand, 24/7. Be sure to connect with us and share your thoughts on what inspires you. Also follow our new blog at loudmouth.com, which is a site that will give you up-to-date information as we're launching into a new season. We're really excited in regards to letting our audience know that tonight, this episode of The Bare Truth with Jazzie Jones is sponsored by Digimo Printing of Stockbridge, Georgia, located at 5365 North Henry Boulevard in Stockbridge. We want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. And if you also have a business and would like to find out how you can advertise and promote your business, be sure to contact us at 706-363-3895. And we're available 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday at our Loudmouth Media offices. Currently, we have some exciting rates available for 15, 30-second spots and premiere spots for advertising within all of our shows. And this evening, we want to thank each and every one of our guests, as you'll hear them as they're coming in on the actual show of The Bare Truth with Love, Life, Sex, and Flowers. And now I would like to, without further ado, bring your host, Miss Jazzie Jones.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for our wonderful producer. Sunny is doing an amazing job here at Loudmouth, that's with 2Ds, radio.com. We are so fortunate to have this venue, have this opportunity to bring you the bare truth. Each week we try our best to cover love, life, sex, and flowers. And so far, from the results of all of our listeners and all of our texts and comments, we are covering those topics pretty good. And I'm not even giving kudos to myself, but I have to give kudos to the guests that I've had on this show. From the beginning of the show with Sue Ryerson and Jamie and Michelle Alexander and even our guests all the way from Spain, Vinny, we have really had some amazing, absolutely amazing people. And each week I'm nervous, each week I'm shaking, and then each week I have guests that come on that make me go, wow, I love what I do. So every week I'm all running to the bathroom prior to coming on the show. I'm getting my tea and my coffee and all of this stuff. I burn my vanilla candles and just go in. But I really appreciate you. I want to just say that up front to all of the people listening, both near and far. We had some great callers last week that called in from Canada and, gave us some information and share with us their stories. Again, we thank you, all of our Twitter fans. Already, I love the fact that we already have fans and people that support us. That's pretty neat. So I am just grateful. I'm grateful that I'm able to say what I feel is important and have other people share what is important to them. So on that note, tonight's show, wow, controversy to some, informative to others, inspiring, empowering, and to some it might even be a little bit entertaining. I'm hoping that you will call in tonight. I'm hoping that you will add to our show because all of us have a gift. All of us have something that we've been given that we can add and we can input into somebody else's life. And so tonight it is my hope that you, the listeners, will call in at 347-826-7520. I'm saying that very slow. I'm being prompted by my producer that like I forgot the number, but I didn't. I didn't forget it. I just wanted to say it slow because sometimes we say it so fast that people are saying, what is the number again? So I'll say it slow again. It's 347-826-7520. And so we're hoping that you will call in. You can call in and just listen. You're going to press 2. But if you press 1, you're actually going to be live on the show and will be cued in to input or ask a question. So tonight's show, the controversy and the interesting and definitely a passionate topic for me is called denial in the church. They have eyes, but they do not see. And I'll go even further. They have ears, but they do not hear. And that topic came so many years ago, but definitely resurfaced with a lot of our guests that are going to be on tonight. We begin to share things that those of us that go to church, traditional church, same gender-loving churches, Orthodox, Methodist, Episcopalian, whatever your quote-unquote denomination, non-denominational church, whatever it is, there are so many things in the church, and the church basically is the group of people that gather together on Sunday through Saturday, whatever day it is that you go. So many people are gathering together that have so many hidden secrets, so many things that they're dealing with on a daily basis, that they are usually dealing with them alone. They feel like, as Michelle Alexander was on our show, and she stated that we are oftentimes an isolated island in our pain, in our struggles, in our, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And in order for us to be whole and healed, we have to gather ourselves around those, not only those that support us, but those that can help us through that. So tonight's show is about so many topics. Matter of fact, one of our guests that's going to come on the show suggested, and I totally agree with him, is that we do this show in part. So there will be a time, if we don't cover as much ground as I know we will not be able to, we will come back and do a second show to this. So just look out for it because it was so many people that wanted to be a part of this that were not able to be a part because of scheduling and different things that life demands. So we want to have them, and we want to have others that wanted to call in, that just wanted to have questions asked. We want you to be able to get those questions in. We also will be able to have those questions. If you're on Facebook, you can Facebook us, you can Twitter us, and at part of the show we'll have the announcer come back on, and she'll be able to tell you where to go to find all of our sites and our email addresses. But we're going to have a second part of the show because this is getting ready to be a broad show. Again, this is a show, The Bare Truth is a show we're not afraid at all, period, to tackle topics that a lot of people want to tiptoe around. A lot of people want to say, oh, no, it's not that important, or it does not happen, or you don't need to speak about it. And the one thing I've learned over the course of my life and my many experiences is the more I stayed silent, the more I felt at the time, no voice, was the most time that I, one, didn't love myself. I didn't trust myself or my thoughts. And so I oftentimes made really horrible decisions based upon what somebody else thought I should, could, or would do. So this show definitely, in the change in the direction of my life and loving me now, has allowed me to be able to have a voice of my own, but this show allows me to give voices to those who are either like-minded or have something to say because they need a little help. So you hear my dogs in the background. I kind of say this each week that they want to join me in the studio, and they're sweet and loving, and we work so hard, so sometimes I'm not always able to be with them as much as I can, so I always have them in the show. So if you hear them in the background, it's kind of okay. We want to join all spirits and energies into this topic tonight. So nevertheless, they're so cute. At some point, you'll be able to see us on Loudmouth TV, and you can see the babies and stuff. But anyway, maybe we'll post a picture of them later. Nevertheless, guys, remember the phone number again is 347-826-7520. And you can always reach us at loudmouth, and that's with 2 Ds, .com, or loudmouth, 2 Ds, radio.com. And we're all over the place. We've actually grown in leaps and bounds when it comes down to new listeners, old supporters. We've picked up some great sponsorships. So once again, I just kind of give a quick plug because our guests are about to come on the show. Give a quick plug to one of our new sponsors who actually designed our business cards. He and his staff are so amazing, and they gave us the best cards. They gave us the best marketing. And so when you see tonight, I think it's going to be posted, some of our business cards and some of our layouts. Oh, my God. I just want you to know that mine, The Bare Truth, is the absolute cutest. Although, the other shows, we have shows. We have shows on Monday. We have shows on Tuesday, which is my night. We have shows on Thursday. And we're adding the shows on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Producer is just on top of things. But Digimo Printing is actually who did a phenomenal job, and you'll see those flyers and pictures of us in just a few. But we definitely always want to give kudos. Roberto and his team are doing a marvelous job. So if you need any of the advertisement, if you need any of your things printed out, graphic designs, business cards, he just does the most. And you can always get flyers for him. I know some of you guys go to different places, but you can purchase 1,000 flyers. Design fee is extra, $80, and receive 10 11 by 17 free posters. Understand that's free posters with the purchase of 1,000 flyers. And you can also purchase 250 business cards for $25. And if you need the designing, he's able to do that. You will see my layout, absolutely beautiful. You'll see the Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins that comes on Mondays. Beautiful. I'm almost jealous of his, but mine is so sexy. And then you'll see J.L. King's Night with Night Talk Live. And then soon, I believe next month starting, we'll have in the studio with our actual producer, which is Sunny. And that show is just amazing. So it's several things happening here we're really proud of. We're really excited of all of the changes and the different things that are going on. But Digimo Printing really does a fantastic job, just a really, really good job. You can always call and say Loudmouth Radio sent you, and then you'll be able to, maybe get a little better deals, and these are the deals that we just told you. And the number is 770-506-2996. So now that we have our beautiful sponsorships in there, we always have to pay the bills because we're not It's a free blog talk, but blog talk always has to be taken care of for us to stay on the air. And there's some great things that we're going to be doing for the community. We're doing a lot of outreaches and I know we're doing the autism walk. We had an autism show last week. So we're going to be doing the autism walk with, what's her name? Oh, I'm so terribly, Cheryl, who called in last week, and Pat Chin and Tiffany Brantley and different ones that are families with autism. So Loudmouth Radio and all of the media will be doing that, and I know we're doing some other things, but we'll keep you posted on that. But nevertheless, I wanted to thank our sponsor again, and I also want to thank you for listening and taking time out of your busy evening and getting ready for our new segment that's coming in. So, as I stated, we're going to have some great guests, and I'm going to find out if our first guest is online, and his name is Dr. Kajurel Smith, who I met just per chance, and I won't say coincidence because I don't believe in coincidence. He is absolutely phenomenal, and we began to just kind of talk in general, and once we started talking in general, we found that we had common interests, and this was one of the common interests and one of the passions. So I want to find out in just a few if he's on with us, and we're going to add him onto the show and begin to go right into what the topic is about, which is denial. Once again, in the church, they have eyes, but they cannot see. They have ears, but they cannot hear. And we're going to open up a discussion, a panel that will discuss exactly some of the things that the church denies and some of the things that, are so important for us to be able to address. So, Dr. Smith, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Hello, Dr. Smith, are you here?
Good evening, Jazzie. How
Hello?
are you? Hello?
Dr. Smith, are you on with us?
Yes, I am.
Hello? Okay, well, I'm not hearing him, so maybe we're having some technical difficulties on my end. So let's try to get him on so I can actually hear him. Maybe I need to change technical phones. Hang on one second. Dr. Smith, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Hi. So we're connected. That's great. So maybe I need to log out. It's so funny. Each week, I'm always saying that if we have technical. Dr. Smith, are you here? Is he back? No? Okay. Nevertheless, we also have a couple of other guests that are going to be joining us, and they're going to be calling in, so hopefully we can work out our bugs. I tell you, it's just amazing how we start small, despise not small beginnings, the parable says.
Please enjoy this Verizon ringback
We're not going to
party
despise all of our technicalities. We're growing in leaps and bounds, and so soon we'll be able to have a super big mic studio. We have a small studio now with small equipment, so every now and then we have moments. Again, Dr. Smith, are you here?
Yes, I am, Jazzie.
He is? Okay. I'm going to change over because, again, I can't hear. Hold on a second. Okay. Are we back together?
Hopefully we are.
I know, right? This is crazy, but it's okay. So, Dr. Smith, go ahead and introduce yourself because I love, when people tell about who they are, they always do a better job at telling about who they are and what they do. So give us a little bit of your background. And we're going to post all of this, so if there's any websites, any emails or anything that you would like to share, please feel free to do that so that people can contact you directly as well.
Certainly. Well, I'm Dr. Kajurel Smith. I'm a clinical psychologist. I reside in the Metro Atlanta area. I am also presently sitting on a board for compliance and ethics compliance for the federal government. I'm a director of a counseling center based here within ministry in the Atlanta areas, the Vision Church of Atlanta.
Wow. Those accolades are amazing. I love it. So I have a smart doctor, not only a smart doctor, but definitely a doctor who's compassionate about what he does. And I'm excited to know that you're joining us this evening.
Thank you for asking.
So now, Dr. Smith, as I was explaining to everyone, we kind of met, and when we met, we just kind of began to talk freely about church and counseling and how there's a disconnect and how a lot of people are in pain, of course. And when they're coming to church, of course, they're coming for their spirituality, but they're getting that high, in my opinion, and the feel-goods of the moment. And then they're walking right back out with those same issues and those same pains. What are your thoughts?
Well, in my personal experience and as well professional experience is that a church, as we noted to be ministry, it is a conglomeration of people coming together. Not just a people, but a hurting people. People come to church to seek direction, to seek healing from their issues, to seek a relief of their stresses, not knowing which direction to go in life, not knowing which direction to take as far as depressions or just hard time everyday life. So as noted, you know, it's been stated time and time again, the church is noted as the hospital for the hurting. Unfortunately, you know, most unfortunate, in my opinion, is that people come to church hurting, and they leave there with the same hurt, if not a further hurt.
Exactly. I totally agree. I know just from going to church myself and, you know, having people come up to me in ministry and ask all of these questions and say all of these things that, you know, if I was just unaware of some of that pain and how people really do come to church. I mean, it's broken people coming to a building looking for direction, as you stated, but they're going back so almost oppressed and almost beat up with some of the things that are said to them when they're coming to leadership and coming to different people and lay people and ministers and deacons and all of the other titles. They're coming to most churches saying, you know, I've been sexually abused. I'm depressed. I was diagnosed with a mental illness. You know, I'm confused about my sexuality. I don't know what to do with this, and I don't know what to do with that. And the main topic, the main thing that, you know, you and I talked about is the famous line of, well, we just going to pray about it. And I am not knocking prayer. God knows it is the center of my life. But if I am suffering with some type of mental illness, or if I am suffering with a physical illness, there are steps that need to be addressed and things that need to be done that the topic of this show comes in a denial form, because people in leadership, I say, are denying people the things that are going on in their life, so they're not adequately all the time addressing those issues. And this is why I wanted to have you and our other guests to come on and discuss some of those things that you're finding and just your opinions and your thoughts about it.
Well, as I see it and have seen it down through the years, in ministry more in particular, when people come to church and they come with the expectancy of approaching or being approached by individuals in ministry leadership that have integrity, that represent a stance of morals, it is most unfortunate that leadership, in most instances, take advantage of the hurting that are coming to them. They are causing a greater hurt by ignoring the issues, and it could be that they're ignoring because they absolutely have no knowledge as to how to help the individual. So therefore, with them just being blank in a response or communication with the individual, it causes that individual that really sought help by coming to the church, especially in, and I know we have a vast audience here, an ethnic audience here, but especially within the black church, they will find themselves in a very depressed situation. They find themselves taken advantage of, unfortunately, ignored, because the leadership themselves have issues that have not been addressed. So, the cliche that would say, hurt people hurt people.
That's so true. Say it again, because that is the statement that is made, but a lot of people don't grasp it. They really don't.
Yes, hurt people really hurt people, because if you're hurting, you really cannot present any method of healing or deliverance to anyone if you are struggling and not free and delivered yourself.
Wow. And that's, and I know we have another guest that we're going to add to the show in just a few seconds, but I just wanted to make the statement before we bring Dr. Jamison on. A lot of people feel like, well, you know what, I can do this even though I'm hurting. My thought pattern is this: if I'm hurting, I can tell you about my hurt if I address my hurt. We can walk together through my hurt if I'm getting help for my hurt. But if I'm denying that I'm hurt, if I'm walking around with pain and thinking that I'm going to interject all of this loving manner, it's not going to happen.
Well, it's impossible to happen, actually.
Yeah, exactly. But so many people feel like it is possible, and they wonder why, relationships are being torn apart. And when I say relationships, it's like we've discussed, at time and at length. Relationships start first with you, individually, within you. It starts. And if you don't take that relationship and develop it and build it, it is very much impossible to try to maintain healthy relationships with other people. So I agree completely, wholeheartedly. I'm going to bring on, I believe Dr. Jamison is with us. Sharon Jamison, are you with us? Let's see if we can get her online with us and join in the conversation.
Sure.
If you're on, Dr. Jamison, please press 1 and join us. I think she is here. We're figuring out all of our little prompts. Hello, is this Miss Jamison?
Yes, it's Sharon. How are you this evening?
Hello, Sharon. How are you, darling? Join us with Dr. Smith.
Oh, God, what a great conversation that Dr. Smith has already said some powerful words. So thanks so much for this opportunity too, Jazzie.
You're so welcome. And if you would, for our audience, please just kind of give a little bit of description about who you are, what you do.
Sure. My name is Sharon Jamison. I'm one of the ministers at the Victory for the World Church in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I also own a company called Care, Share, Inspire. It's the umbrella company where I provide relationship and personal coach training. And I do that because I think that something you said that was so important, Jazzie, about the relationship with self and without the relationship with ourselves in a good relationship with our God. However we understand God, we have difficulty having relationships with people. And so I do some work around small organizations around and also churches about interpersonal skills, because I think so many times we talk about God in church, but we don't talk about how to get along with each other. We're so heavenly bound, we're no earthly good. So I really spend some time doing some work around that. And I also have a company called Create Love for Women. I work with an amazing woman named Imani Evans. She was the creator, and we co-founded an organization where we provide relationship tips and skills and discussion groups and workshops for women who love women, because we don't have a lot of mentors. We don't have a lot of examples of what healthy relationships look like anyway. But, of course, we need some healthy tips to make sure women who love women, our relationships stay very strong. And also, I just wrote a book called I Can Depend on Me. And my book is around my own personal struggle with depression. My father was a minister. I grew up in the Church of God in Christ. really struggled with depression all my life, and it was something that was never addressed in the church. And to address it, they made me feel like I was loved God less. I was less saved. I was less faithful because I could not deal with my depression. So I talk about my own journey. So I totally see that the church has done a lot around divine and personal piety, but not enough around personal interaction. But I think it's the church leaders, but I also think it's people. I think people come to church for relief, but they don't come to participate in their own resolution. And that's the difference.
Say that one more time. Say it one more time.
People come to church for relief, but don't want to participate in their resolution. And we come to get healed, but not to do the healing work. And that's the challenge. And I think even seminary teaches us to understand about the Bible, but we don't really get a lot of training in seminary. We get some around interpersonal conflict management, how to deal with different personality types, how to deal with depression, how to identify depression, how to deal with depression with in a way that removes the shame and the stigma. Because if a person is shamed, if they feel stigmatized, they would just suffer in silence and suffer in secret. So that's kind of my personal perspective on that. I think mental illness is so underdiagnosed, especially in women. 1 in 3 women will have depression at some time in their life. And it's something that the church has to talk about. But unfortunately, in black churches, I hate to say it this way, we think that mental illness is what white people do. And you know what?
Very true. Very true. Dr. Smith, what are your thoughts on that? Because I hear your mind ticking. I hear it.
Yes, it is ticking. Yes. Well, I totally concur with her, and I would like to even add and to take it a little further in that in the black churches, unfortunately, it has been depicted that, mental illness is more associated with our white counterparts, our white brothers and sisters. However, sit in any church and any professional that's within my area or spectrum of professionalism can identify off the hand that everyone sitting in there has an issue of some sort. The mental issues are not addressed. They want to pray, casting demons out and rubbing them down with oil. I understand wholeheartedly. I come out of Church of God in Christ also, and I know what it's all about. I've seen it. I've experienced it, within services. However, it absolutely takes more than laying on of hands. It needs to be addressed. These are issues that, I will put forefront. The pastors and the bishops of these ministries are self-absorbed and missing the people.
Right. I completely
agree with him.
I'm sitting. I had to get up and just start pacing the floor because I'm just like, okay, y'all better preach and teach our people. And and we're all of chocolate descent. I call us chocolate people. Y'all will hear me say that. We're all of chocolate descent. Even though we may have other heritages, we may have other cultures in our family, we've all come from understanding, quote unquote, how the black church thinks. We've seen it. We've got my own background. I grew up. My grandmother was the first bishop of Shaw University as a woman.
Wow.
I was in church 7 days a week. My grandmother died at 97. So you're talking about church every day, all day, between my mom and then picking it up myself and going into ministry very early and being taught the black church way, I'll call it. And understand me, I went from a holiness church, I went to Baptist, because I was finding, I was searching. And so I'm coming from G, holo. I'm coming from all of that. I'm coming from stuff coming out your mouth at the pew, and you're tarrying all night for the Holy Ghost. I'm coming from that. And I'm coming from trying to understand who God is for me and not the God of my mother. And then I'm coming from understanding God for me and breaking it all the way down to understanding who Spirit really is and what Spirit meant to me. And I won't
commercialize it and make it for everyone, because it's your God and your service and your worship. It's your life individually. But I remember, I'm with you, Sharon, when it comes down to depression. My very first show was on bipolar disorder. Now, you bring bipolar disorder right into the church, and they are going to tell you to pray. They are, as you said, you're going to have the whole shame. You must be crazy. You've now been around too many white people. It's not really that. And all you have to do is speak faith. Now, mind you, I believe in faith. I believe in all of that. I believe in really redirecting my mindset to know who I am and to know the beauty that I have been created and the destiny that I have been created to do. I believe that, not taking anything away from my foundations, even though I've grown up and added more things and taken some things down, but I had to come to an honest state and say, baby, even if it's a natural herb, I need something to help me navigate my mind, to focus this imbalance that I have from knowing I'm going straight and then deviating off, and well, where did that even come from? But feeling so bad at the time, I don't now, but feeling so bad at the time, I had nobody to talk to about it. I had nobody in the church to go and say, I'm dealing with this. I don't even know what this is, but these are the feelings that I'm having, and these are the thoughts of suicide that I'm having. And these are the crying spells that I'm having, and I can't get anything done because I don't know what to do.
Absolutely.
You know?
I totally understand what your experience, because, Jazzie, that was kind of my experience. It was interesting. When I was dealing with my depression, my parents gave me two options, prayer line or butt on the behind. And I don't think a whooping would make me feel better, and I got the holy oil. But I really feel that when a person has faith and faith in God, God has a lot of different ways to deliver. Sometimes it is medicine and psychiatry and psychology and exercise and nutrition. And I think sometimes in churches we're so narrow. We're just so narrow and so myopic in our understanding of God. And I believe that God is everything. Every good and perfect gift comes from God. That means medicine and doctors and therapists and professionals and all those types of things. So that's one of my areas. Second, I think it's important that we ministers have so many times become pimps, one, and also have like this promise in the black faith that they want the parishioners to come to them as if they know all that what to do. But many of the healers, the pastors are wounded healers, because being a minister is one of the most loneliest jobs in the world. I know Dr. Smith can tell you that. Very, very lonely. And many times we are wounded healers. But the problem is, and that's why you see so much destruction and so much psychosis, is because we can't talk to each other. We feel like we have to be pillars in society, and then, there's so much animosity and backbiting in the ministry, so you can't really have any of your colleagues to share your pain, so you have sick people leading the sick people. So everybody is going on a hell in a handbasket. And so it's a very challenging thing. But I'm with Dr. Smith. I think every black person has some psychosis. You cannot be black in America for more than 4 minutes and not be depressed or have some.
Not more than 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Because if you think about it, as black people, we deal with oppression, suppression, being marginalized, being excluded. All those different things impact your spirit. It impacts you spiritually and emotionally. So, of course, on some level, you're going to experience depression. It could be metabolic, it could be psychological, it could be physiological, it could be situational. But one of the things we have to address it. It's really interesting. At our church, Victory for the World, we're starting a pastoral care ministry when we're saying, hey, let's help each other. Let's stop just praying, asking for deliverance. Let's do the deliverance work. And so we are starting to do the workshops, and that's why I really wrote my book and talk about it at my church. This is what depression looks like. People don't know what it looks like. It looks like a very successful person. I'm very successful. I work for a corporate organization. I handle 3 states in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and I'm still successful, and I want them to have a face. This is what depression looks like. Sometimes it looks like somebody walking in the bed and can't get up, because that used to be me too. Sometimes it might feel like suicide. That was me too. But it also, you can be functioning and still suicidal. I think we have to create an example of what it looks like, because many times we don't seek treatment unless we land on the floor about to jump out the window, versus seeing that people are functioning and working and still, have a sense of sadness that the spirit can't endure for too long. Heart deferred makes the, heart sick. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. That's biblical, that's spiritual, that's also psychological.
Right.
So I really feel what you said and Dr. Smith, the church has to name it. Some churches are doing it, but the problem is we don't have enough professionals in church to do it. And we keep looking to the pastor, and our pastor is our biblical guy. There might not be our spiritual, emotional, and psychological guy, and we get it twisted. Because in our history, many times the black minister was everything, and that's no longer the case. And I know about that.
And one thing I would like to plug in on this as well. What I've found, and I've taken a survey of ministries right here in this general area, the Atlanta area, as to how many ministries, I don't care how small or how large they may be, that actually have a counseling division. That absolutely empowers the professional licensed, not the parking lot counselor, the counselor, the counselor that has gone to school, the counselor that is certified, the counselor that has been solidified by their works, that can help the congregation, that can help the people. But what I've found out is that most of these pastors they've made themselves to be so busy, they have appointed leadership that are basically within themselves destroying the ministry because they're handling people any types of way. And my heart really goes out, and my call really is to help anyone that needs the help. Now, generally, when you go into ministry, what an opportunity to really utilize the gifts that God has given you as a counselor, as a solidified counselor. Now, the thing is this here. Most of the people there cannot afford me in my office. They don't have insurance. They don't have the money to do it.
I'm so glad you're bringing that up. I'm so glad you're bringing that up.
So therefore, when they come to church, this is their only source of outlet that they are coming seeking help. I mean, I've seen, and I'm sure the other doctors has seen or have experienced clients within ministry with a multiplicity of issues that they're coming there with, that are looking for a way, and it tears my heart apart to see that these leaders in ministry are as self-absorbed as they are and are not affording the people the help. Now, in that, I with being a part of the Compliance and Ethics Board, I stand firmly by the APA and the ACA Codes of Ethics. We cannot operate just in any kind of way and help the people.
Right.
We have to be professional about it, but it has to be offered. And my prayer is for these pastors and these bishops and these pastors that are over organizations and various ministries to be open-minded and not look at counseling as taboo.
Yes.
Because these are the same people they're expecting to pay tithes to their ministry.
Okay, don't start nothing, okay? Don't start nothing. Okay, start something.
These are the same people that they're expecting to support the building fund. These are the same people that they're expecting to support pastor's anniversary, and various auxiliaries within the ministry. But these are the people, if you are, and I'm authoring, and my book is entitled Scattered Sheep. Because the sheep are being scattered. Because why? Not because of any gender association. I'm talking about the people of God.
Right.
They're coming and they're not receiving help.
Wow. It's so true. I remember a few weeks, well, it's been a few months now. My weeks go by so quickly. A month or two. But I remember a few months ago, I was having a discussion with someone, and I said, I'm praying sincerely that suicide specifically would be addressed in the church. I said, it's amazing. It's astounding to me, and I could continue to go on how in awe, and not in a positive way, I am at how many people that line the aisles, as you said, Dr. Smith, to give, to do, and to be a part, and hungry to be a part, but want to go home and slit their wrists. Yeah. And I said, I'm praying seriously that we will begin to address suicide in the church. And I was telling this particular young lady, I said, Facebook for me, I used to get blamed. You're always on Facebook. You're always on Facebook. You're never doing anything.
Same here.
You're always on Facebook. And it's amazing because when I begin to show people, let me, without telling you who the person is and without really sharing a whole depth, let me just give you 2 lines. I want to kill myself. I don't think I can make it another day. These are the reasons why I bombard Facebook, and I'm always posting them. And when somebody told me one day, man, you just post all of these inspiration messages all the time. I said, guys, you have no clue who's reading this.
Absolutely.
You have no idea that the majority of these people that are reading this, one, they either go to church all the time and don't receive help, or 2, they never know what quote-unquote church really is. And I don't mean we get dressed up, we go, we shout, we scream, we dance, we parade. I don't mean that church. That's not the church I'm talking about. I mean the place where we're going for healing, wherever that may be. If it's outside in a congregation, wherever your church is, wherever you're going, and if you're not being touched, literally, sometimes physically, I remember being in a relationship where I was very seldom touched. And that just added to my depressive state.
Right.
And it made me feel so like I was unworthy. And I remember sharing that with someone that came up to me later and said, because of your story, I didn't go home and kill myself tonight. And this whole year was people walking up to me saying, I wanted to kill myself, but when I heard you wanted to kill yourself, I couldn't believe it. And your story helped me not want to do that. But I couldn't, other than really giving them support and love and encouragement, and, of course, the number to my counselor. But Dr. is as you stated, they couldn't afford my counselor. So if you can't afford it and you don't have it within the church realm that one Sunday, that one Wednesday or Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday that you can make it to church, if you don't have somebody there that can reach out to you and say, sweetheart, let me not only give you some prayer, love, and touch, but let me give you some clinical instruction.
Exactly.
Because
this is what I've observed also. I sit down and I sat in church for approximately a year before even accepting the position of working with the counseling ministry, to be the director of it, because I want to, I have to be clear in everything that I do. I have to be clear of what's the motive behind it. I want to be sure that everything is up to standard. And when I met with Bishop Allen, I explicitly stated that, the APA and the ACA Code of Ethics is not an option. I take serious what God has called me to do. But in my observation, and to piggyback on what the doctor stated also this evening, what does depression really look like? We think only depressed that they're going to be all humdrum. That's not the case. Sometimes the depression wears a St. John suit. Sometimes, sometimes depression wears an Armani suit. Or walking around in Louboutins, and Gucci. Depression wears those labels. But I observed more intently that every week in the prayer, when they have the prayer line, basically, that the same individuals, the same, like clockwork, would get up and come to the altar. And I was sitting, I'm like, these people are hurting.
Right.
And they're coming, and it would never be the same matters in which Bishop would call the prayer forth, but the same individuals would come forth, seeking prayer, seeking healing, seeking direction. Well, when you see, in my opinion, when you see an individual, that is continuously coming up, when are these leaders going to read the mail and understand that there is genuinely a need to help the people?
I totally agree with you, Dr. Smith. And it's so interesting. I think there's two things I think will be helpful. It has to be the ministers going outreach and talk to the people who are constantly in that same prayer line. But also it has to be some in-reach.
Wow.
I think so many times we go in-reach because we don't normalize depression and we don't normalize help. If there is a stigma associated with help, I'm not going to get help. You have to show examples of people in crisis getting help and it being normalized, it's been celebrated, it's been accepted, and make sure that we frame health as a very healing thing. As part of what God says, present your body as a living sacrifice. If our body is a temple, that emotional part of us, that's a temple also.
Yeah.
So I think it has to be outreach. We have to reach out, but also we have to let people know that they can reach in and that it's okay and what it looks like, so that we can help each other. Because when I heal, somebody else is healed. When they heal, I heal.
Right.
Because healing never happens in isolation. It never happens in isolation. But
Absolutely not.
If people don't understand that they can ask for help, or if people are ostracized for getting help, I won't get help. I will hurt, especially when you're dealing with a population of people who have been marginalized. Black people, gay people, marginalized groups are so used to isolation that hurting becomes the norm. So it's
so unfortunate.
Yes, it's so unfortunate. So if I'm hurting, that's normal. And many times I deal with people after they get on some medication, go to some therapy, watch their diet, watch exercise, because it really is a depression. You have to handle it every.
It's complete.
Yes. Absolutely. And when they start feeling better, they didn't even know that feeling what normal was, if that makes sense. So they didn't trust it. They didn't trust their healing. Does that make sense?
And also I can look at it like this here, and I'm sure you would probably agree with me. The scripture says, faith without works is dead.
Yes.
Don't make me say
Now, I can have faith in God to heal and deliver me from any and everything. But there's a portion of that I, or the individual, becomes responsible.
Thank you.
They become responsible. So if we within ministry, more in particular, if we're within ministry, are going to be that tool that is accessible to the hurting, that can't afford, that do not have insurance, then we have to be in place. If the people are going to have the courage to step out on faith and do something about their healing, then we need to be available. But again, I say, if it's not a matter that is projected or promoted from the pulpit, from the pastor, and I hope that every pastor on the face of this earth is listening to this show tonight, because every pastor, they are accountable to these people.
Exactly.
And accountable to God.
I love that you said promotion. I love that you used the word promote from the pulpit, because without endorsement and without advocacy, you people don't move forward.
Absolutely.
And I think that our pastors not only need to promote getting help, but I love what you said, Dr. Smith, that the pastors need to expect a standard of excellence. One, also expect that the ministers have ongoing training, some continuing education to make sure we stay sharp and to make sure that we don't start absorbing everybody else's issues. Because
and also I would say that the first counseling session should be the pastor.
Yes.
I agree. I totally agree.
Once the pastor receives counseling, because most pastors operate with a spirit of ego, that they are above reproach, that they are perfect, and everybody beneath them has
and
the
everybody
issue.
Beneath them. That's the key. You're beneath me.
Yeah, beneath and not walking with.
Yeah.
You know, the first counseling session need to be the dysfunctional pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the sad part is, go ahead. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the things that I really love that we're doing at our church, we're normalizing the concept of the wounded healer, because all of us are wounded, but we also participate in healing. So for the pulpit, our minister, my pastor, Dr. Samuel, talks about healing, talks about therapy is needed. It's starting to be normal part of the message. You talk about social justice issues, economic issues, political issues, and psychological issues. And so they're being weaved into his message. So you're going to get some nuggets every Sunday about issues, because if you look at our world, the mental illness issues, that's why we're having so much craziness. So I really think we have to normalize. But I love that he's really just normalizing the wounded healer. So our ministers talk to each other.
Let me break in just for a moment, because I know we have a caller. You know what? We're going to just have to talk and do lunch, because I'm just having a ball with this show, and I'm just walking and pacing the floor. But we do have a caller, and then we're going to talk about our sponsors really quickly. Caller, are you there? Let's see. Is our caller on? He hung up. We took too long. Caller, we do apologize if you want to call us back. Caller, are you here?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, hello. My name is Reverend Rose Hardy.
Hi.
I'm with Restoration Temple Ministries of New York City. And
fantastic.
I had seen Dr. Smith's post about this show this evening, and so I have been listening in for about an hour, and I thought that I would just call in and acknowledge. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful discussion. I myself, besides my liturgical life here in New York, I'm also a licensed clinician. I've been doing mental health work for about 25 years, so I'm very blessed to be able to bring my the bridge the gap between mental health and wellness and my brother in this work, and just acknowledge this is an excellent discussion this evening that I'm enjoying very, very much. And
Rose, it is absolutely awesome that you call in. This has really blessed me this evening. And Jazzie, I want to state that hopefully during convocation this year with the Vision Church, or what should I say, with UPTC, maybe at some point you would have an opportunity to meet Rose. When I tell you she is excellent and personified in her call. She is an awesome worker. Yes, she is.
Well, thank you, Dr. Smith. I think, again, there's so many critical points that you're discussing this evening, all of you. The reality is that the church does have a long way to go to bridge and recognize that, yes, we are spiritual clinicians. The church is a spiritual hospital, and indeed, pastors and leadership can do an extraordinary work to usher their people into getting mental health services. I truly believe in the power of prayer. I truly do believe in the power and the ability of deliverance and laying hands. I also know the miraculous wonders of pharmacology and medication and psychotherapy. And so, again, it can be very frightening for communities of color, of which I am. But I think that just having the discussion is a huge step. So again, I'm grateful that I was able. Thank you, Dr. Smith, for posting it on Facebook. I thought I had to be at a leadership meeting this evening. It unfortunately got canceled, and I thought, great, now I can listen in.
Yes, I'm so Rose. Thank you. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I need somebody to Facebook me and give me a different word than wow, because I'm just so awed, and wow is just wow. And I don't even know what else to say. But you know what? I really, truly appreciate you calling in, because to me, as we started this conversation out and you repeated it and it's gone through the theme of the show, is that it's the key to change is communication.
Amen.
In whatever form, if you say, I speak as we say sign language. If you have to sign it, if you have to cry it, whatever your form is, begin it with conversation so you know how to get from point A to point Z. Mm-hmm. You know how to cover all of the alphabets in between, because you cannot make a change if you don't say, hey, I don't know what I have. In my case, I didn't know where I was. I just knew something about my brain is a whole lot different. It's a whole lot different, and I'm not coping well. And everything that I'm being told to keep it, and this is the big thing. Okay, keep it in the house. Your business is your business. What you're going through, nobody needs to know. All of these stigmas, all of these things, if we don't begin to speak about it and reach out and get help, we're going to continue to hurt, continue to be dysfunctional. And as Dr. Smith said, we're going to continue to be hurting people. So I appreciate you guys so much. You don't know, I've cried a little bit because I'm so happy. I've walked to probably a hole in the floor. My dogs are looking like, okay, you're doing a show, but this is really crazy. You're walking around and pacing. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for calling. Anytime you want to call in and input.
You're welcome. If I may, please, and I know it is not my show, but I'm so moved by this, and I do want to say this, two things, if you would just indulge me for 30 seconds. One, that you touched on.
For 5 minutes, 10, 15. If you want to stay on the show, you certainly are welcome.
What I want to say is you folks touched on the issue of it's not just the congregation. It is the leadership. It is pastors. I have worked in another fellowship. Again, I'm now with Restoration Temple Ministries under a profound anointed woman, Overseer Yvonne Harrison, who the first time when we met, and she understood. She saw what I could bring to the ministry I would join. It was her buy-in as a pastor to see that there was a great work we could do in the kingdom where we could bridge, again, the faith of people, the prayer life of people, but also acknowledging that modern science, modern medicine, therapy can play a role. And there are pastors that are suffering. There are bishops that are suffering. I have held the hand of a suicidal, high-level person. I have spoken in privacy with leaders who would never want their flock to know the pain they're in. So on that, I'm so grateful you're bringing it out into the light. And if there's one thing that people know, my mantra is that there's no healing in silence. So again, thank you. I'm going to be still now and just continue to listen to your wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. You all bless me. Dr. Smith.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Rose, for calling in. But, Jazzie, just to tag just a hot split second here on what Minister Rose Hardy stated, and that is this here. Can you really imagine if pastors were to humble themselves and seek counseling, be healed and delivered through counseling? What if these pastors that not just endorsed therapy or a therapist within the congregation or before the congregation, but can you really imagine the people that were merely be set free because they will feel at the very second of a pastor stating that, hey, I receive counseling also. Can you imagine the mindset change of the people of the congregation, of the members, of the audience that will not feel as though they are less of God, but to see that if God can do it for my pastor, who I'm actually seeing and sitting before every week, there is a hope for me. And this is why I stress so hard to every pastor, every leader within ministry. Don't be afraid of counseling, honey. Let's be clear on one thing.
Yes.
I don't know of one counselor or one therapist, and I'm a regional director, a clinical psychologist, and have a therapist myself.
That's right. I think we have one of our other panelists is on. Amani, are you here? Hello?
Greetings. Sorry about that. I had
Greetings.
While I listened.
Greetings.
No, greetings. I'm going to have you tell about yourself. We're going to break just for a brief moment because, we still have to pay the bills. So we're going to have our sponsorship come back on and pay our bills. And then when I come back, Imani, if you will tell who you are, I would love you so dearly. Hang on just a second, guys.
Okay, great.
Thank everyone for listening to Loudmouth Radio Network. We're live on loudmouthradio.com, where we actually broadcast each and every week live on loudmouthradio.com. This show is sponsored by Digimo Printing of Stockbridge, Georgia. Be sure to take advantage of the opportunities that we have to offer on our promotional specials for the month of May, and this actual special is available for our listeners that are actually dedicated to Loudmouth Radio. We actually are offering a $250 business card printing price of $25 with a design fee extra and 1,000 flyers for $80, which also would include 10 free 11x17 posters. Go ahead and put your order in today. Feel free to reach us at 770-506-2996. Digimo Printing. Allow us to take you to the next level. You also can find us on Facebook at Digimo Printing. And now, back to our actual host on Blog Talk Radio's own internet network, Loudmouth Radio, Ms. Jazzie Jones.
Wow, she's giving us a little plug. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to see one of our other co-hosts, J.L. King, who does the Night Talk live on OWN Network on Where Are They Now on Sunday, but we were kind of in the background, so she gave us a little plug. Nevertheless, that's neither here nor there. Imani, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be amongst all these wonderful folks this evening.
I know. I'm over here in tears. I'm just like happy tears. Happy tears. It's finally come full circle, and we get to talk about so many needful things. So tell us a little bit about you, and then we're going to dive right into a very, very near and dear subject that you cover. So tell us a little bit about you, and we'll go right into another discussion.
Well, my name is Imani Evans, and I am the founder and executive director of an organization, a nonprofit in Georgia called Women Healing Women, and we provide supportive services to long-term survivors of sexual and domestic violence. The organization was unofficially started in November 2004, and then we became a 501c3 in 2007. I have been working in women's empowerment for many, many years. It was my first actual real job at 18 was in the psychiatric hospital. So I've always known what I want to do, and I have, in my educational background is I hold a bachelor's in psychology, a bachelor's in biology, a master's in counseling psychology, and I'm currently pursuing a doctorate in counseling education and supervision. So I live, eat, breathe, sleep, drink empowerment for individuals. And I do this work as a survivor. I started the work because I am a survivor. I started the work because I needed the work. And we use the term surviving to thriving often, because Women Healing Women is about empowering women beyond just surviving. If you look at the word surviving, it simply means to exist, to maintain. And we want to empower women to offer them something bigger than that.
Right.
And tell them that that's not the destination, that you can take those painful experiences and transmute them into something very powerful and passion-filled that will help you in your life and also help others. And so that's, in a nutshell, who I am.
Let me tell you, you guys have all shared your pedigrees, as my mother would say, all of your pedigree information. And each time each one of you has finished, I just wanted to say, and now that ends the show. It has just been wonderful. I'm so, again, I'm always excited that, I'm able to be just a tiny part of a connection to people who I admire for doing things that I feel so wholeheartedly about. And years ago, and it's so funny, I had a friend of mine that said, Jazzie, you've probably experienced more in one lifetime than anybody I know. And I really have, and I look at it now. A lot of those things that I've experienced definitely were by choice. Didn't want them to be dysfunctional. However, I was dysfunctional at the time, and so therefore I drew dysfunction. But I'm so happy. I was so excited to know that you were going to be a part of the show and that you even wanted to be. And the reason being is because I have an organization called Salsa Noir Productions, and I have several different things that I do, like we all do.
Right.
But Salsa Noir Productions basically was formed because of the love of salsa dance that I have had for many, many years. But it basically was formed because I wanted to teach safe interaction for primarily women, but also people who abused women and girls. Now, that was a tricky thing to do, but I found in my own abusive state that the person who was abusing me was so in pain that they didn't know how to treat me good. And so I began to be able to reach out just through dance, that a person could reach his hand out or her hand out in a loving gesture through dance, release the frustration, release the anger, dance their way to conversation. And it began to teach safety, and it gave you an area where the two could be in the same space. Maybe not, I've been abused by you particularly, but it could be the victim and the victimizer relearning how to use their hands and their bodies, and that became a voice of expression. So when I found out that you primarily deal with domestic violence, I was jumping up for joy, because I'm like, now we have a really balanced and a well-rounded group for discussion, and that you reach out to women and girls is so amazing that we have the opportunity to hear all the things that you do. But then definitely with the topic that we have for tonight, where do you see, and I'm sure you do see it, that in the church, as you've been listening, and you've heard several statements and things that are that have already been made, but do you, like I do, see that it is such an ignorance? I totally ignore the fact that you came in with a black eye, that you, or like me, you didn't even know for 10 years. And honey, when I say I held the position, I was pastor aide, I was the Sunday school teacher, I was, this, that, the third, blah, 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 blah. You had no clue that I had a dislocated shoulder, because I was too ashamed to say, yeah, Deacon just beat me up last night. I was so afraid to come out and say these things, because people had such high expectations of what leadership, and I think as Sharon said earlier, it's a lonely place, because you're so afraid to say, I'm being beat up every day, or I'm being beat up, every once in a while. Never know when it's coming, but it comes. So how do you see it play in the church from your angle?
Well, I think it's very interesting that and fortunate that I, share the panel with really dynamic members of the cross and of faith, because I totally believe that, first of all, violence is prolific and insidious, so it knows no boundaries. It reaches across race, creed, religion, socioeconomic location. It does not matter. So, we have to break free of the shame. But I also, on a more holistic perspective, believe that I know for a fact that violence, whether it's sexual, we work with both sexual and domestic. And I know that violence is an attack of the mind, body, and spirit. And so it is going to require all areas. If the violence occurs in all areas, so too must the remedy. And I think that is the piece that we have missed in providing full service to women. It's actually what I saw missing out there. So if you speak to a woman's mind in her healing, but you have not, if you have not spoken to her spirit, you have not spoken to her body, then we have not provided full service. And I know for myself that my brokenness extrapolates across my whole existence. It isn't just in one area of my life. It is in all areas of my life. And until I'm able to look at my life in that wholeness, then my healing doesn't fully recover. So then we find ourselves in these cyclical patterns where you have the same experience with a different face. And we're wondering, why am I having that experience? And so we really have to partner with our communities, with families, with the church, with all of the entities providing healing, and not fault anyone, not anyone carry more of the blame, not anyone carry more of the responsibility, but that understand that it is a unit, and to disjoint it in that way is sort of the same as saying, cut your leg off without hurting your body. Well, okay, we think about that for a minute. How's that actually going to happen? And so we have to work together to provide healing to this, because we are in a pandemic. Violence against women, children, and men as well, but particularly my work is with women, is pandemic. And so the answer has to come. And part of it, too, is we have to stop. It's going to require a paradigm shift. If we keep digging in the same toolbox, we're going to keep building the same faulty house.
Exactly.
We have to completely shift how we're thinking about this. And some of the things, the disjointed messages that we extend to families and to children, like we're teaching hypermasculinity to boys and chastity to girls. And then we send them out in the world, expect that to work out, and then we're surprised when it does not. We have women saying, we have women saying to their boy children the things that they never want to hear from men. We raise them to be the men we don't actually like. And I heard my mother say
say that one more time. Say that, because that was so good. I have to have it.
That was profound.
Say it one more time. Wasn't it?
Yeah. We thank you. We raise boys to be women often. We will raise our boys to be the men that we don't like. And we have to stop sending those messages, where boys get to their expression of manhood, their transition into manhood is through this hyper-masculine identity. It's not about being a man, but rather being a male. And we have to really educate beyond that. We have to re-educate beyond that, because that message is so prolific. It's in everything. It's in music. It's in clothing. It's in everything. And we have to change those messages. But the responsibility is on everyone. The responsibility, the role is on everyone. And I know for myself in doing this work, I see time and time again, the other thing that I wanted to create an organization that wasn't trying to make me a victim forever. I don't want to be told I'm a victim forever. That wasn't what I was looking for. I'm nobody's victim. So how do I take my power back? How do I reclaim my body? How do I reclaim my spirit without blaming someone else forever? Because I am complicit in my suffering. And so to really, truly empower me is to show me how to undo that cycle. And sometimes that's really so much deeper than giving you the 10 steps to preventing of violent relationships. It's really about restoration of your spirit, a reconnection to your soul. I love the fact that you talked about dance, because dance was very integral in my life as well. And when I was able to be on the stage and move my body, I could feel the healing occurring in my body by being able to use my body in that way. Because violence steals those attempts to steal those joys from us. And we have to reconnect that, and it's going to take all of us to do that.
On that note, let me just interrupt you just for a minute. I know that statement, we're going to post it on Facebook and all over the place, because it was so profound that I'm just sitting here like, did I do that? There's others, because I was a single parent for a while after I got a divorce. But, we are, and I do agree with you, especially when we're in the state of dysfunction before we recognize it for what it is. And I love the fact, and I kind of wanted to hear the other panel, kind of discuss that, the whole victim mode. Do you feel like, and this is what I wanted to address, do you feel like, and I'll pose this to Dr. Smith first, and then we'll kind of go in circle. Do you feel like that the church allows us or keeps us in victim mode versus, as we've already talked about, kind of not addressing the issue itself? Do you feel like we, as you said, Dr. Smith, sometimes leadership pimps us out, and so we stay in victim mode and not really seek the healing?
Well, I absolutely feel that the church or its leadership, in most cases, not in every case, but it's rare that it's not, that the church itself absolutely allows or affords the individuals to remain in a victim state.
That's good.
I mean, it's most unfortunate, but when you look at the real picture, as I have, and I'm sure most of you, or if not all of you have, from your views, how can someone that has been victimized and not recovered from being victimized release other victims to freedom?
Wow.
It starts from the top.
Wow.
I totally agree.
It starts from the top. It honestly does. I mean, I've sat with many pastors. I've sat on an advisory council for a bishop's council, and you would be utterly astonished of what these pastors themselves have experienced in their life.
True. Very true.
These people, these men and women of God, have experienced everything possibly under the sun. And they're walking under the shadow or the umbrella, thinking that, or feeling that, well, I'm delivered and set free, I want to pastor, I don't want to lead people, but yet in their they display the actions. When you see dysfunctionalism coming from within the pulpit or from within leadership, that's merely a sign that they are still struggling. So you can't free someone if you're not free.
Wow.
You cannot tell me, you cannot help me. You absolutely, I refuse to believe that you can help me of understanding how an alcoholic can recover from alcoholism if you've never had a drink to your mouth.
I say this. I totally agree with what he says, because only free people can free people. So we know that. And I think there is a victim mentality in the church, because many times it's to the pastor's benefit. If I teach
Say
you
it again.
I can manipulate you. Not only I can manipulate you with your money and your time. That's why I can manipulate you sexually. That's why there's so much sexual impropriety in the church.
Right.
Absolutely.
If I tell you what to think versus teach you how to think critically for yourself, I don't have to worry about you rebelling. I don't have to worry about you challenging. A lot of ministers teach doctrines, but they don't teach people to think because they can't take any type of discord. So many
because
pastors,
that's a method of control.
Right. Their egos are so fragile. But also I want to say in the church, there are people in leadership. Instead of praying, P-R-A-Y, they are praying, P-R-E-Y on people.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Sharon. Wait a minute. Just wait. Let me stand up and walk one more time. I need you to say it just one more time because it just needs to be repeated.
Yes, I just think that ministers, they instead of praying for people, they pray on people, pray on their weaknesses, their sadness, their depression, their insecurity. They pray on the loneliness of single women. That's
and single men.
And single men, absolutely.
True.
You go to many of these churches, it's 90% women, and many times the pastors, the deacons have 4 or 5 kids. I've seen it all. I grew up in the Church of God in Christ. I grew up in it. And it makes me sad. So I think but I want to say this. Many times people don't want to do the work to think critically. They want to say, what did pastor say? What did pastor say? What did pastor say? Versus studying the Bible for themselves, doing their own critical analysis, and trying to understand what the Word of God speaks to them. Sometimes pastors, we look at them as puppets. So many times pastors are puppets and pimps. I hate to say that. Versus teaching people to think critically about the Word of God. Because whoever knows is free indeed. And so I'm glad that some churches are doing that. I know our church really forces and challenges people to think critically and not to take what grandmama and them taught you about God and the faith of God so we can understand God. For example, I think one of the things that is very fiction-oriented is the teaching that only God is a male, especially when so many women have been sexually abused. So having the concept that God is only a male can be very upsetting. So in our church, we don't say that God is a male. God is female and male. God is no gender. And so,
but you know what? That's the thing. God is no. Where do we in this patriotic society of thought? We want to take one part, throw away the next part, digest this part, really live by this part, but this part is no good. If spirit is spirit, the last time I checked, we can't hold it, we can't touch it. It's not tangible, but we feel it. And if spirit lives within the genders.
Well, and what is promoted from the pulpit, unfortunately, it's interpretive. Just as we have King James Version, as we have NIV, everyone has a version. Everyone has their own interpretation. And they promote their interpretation or their doctrine. And for those that do not read the word for themselves, because the word emphatically states, study to show thyself approved. Which means that I have to have a relationship with God for myself.
I know. We have a caller that wants to join in. Caller, you're on the air. Are you there?
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Do you have a question or comment?
Yes, I do. But in the process of hearing each speaker come on, it's been answered. The comment
tell us what it was.
I mean, like last when Imani came, she put it all together. But the question was, when you are dealing with a mental illness, that it used to be, don't let the doctors put a name to it. Don't put a name to it. God can heal all. And just pray about it. I went from there, and then you moved on to, by the time Imani came, she brought it together saying that it's all the entities. No one can act. It's partnership. So when someone's sitting in the midst of mental illness, and they're having life and death situations, and and all they can say is, "I'm gonna pray about it. I'm gonna pray about it. I'm gonna read my Bible." When what's the gentleman's name? Dr.
Smith.
Dr. Smith said as well that it's how do you get the pulpit to support the fact that it's okay to have the name to it, and it's okay to make the connection between prayer as well as behavioral health. You're not failing God to get support. And by the time Imani came on and Sharon came on, you're talking about years and years and years of trauma, and you can be a full-fledged adult and have never gone past 6 or 7.
And, oh my God, so true.
What do you do? What do you do then when the message is not? I would love to be able to say that, in a sense, we are failing God's gift of life, to say that we are not honoring ourselves, not only in the Word of God, whichever way you perceive it, but to also use the services and the organization to get the help. And it's a lot right now. It's just a lot. What do you do?
Well, to me, I think you made a very good point, and it sort of reminds me of that story where the man is drowning and a log floats past. I'm sure you've all heard it before. And he doesn't take it because he said, God is going to save me, God is going to save me. And then a log comes by and a paddle comes by and all these things float by. He takes none of it because he's waiting on God to save him. And he passes away, and God says, and he says, God, why did you? I was obedient. I did all of what you've asked of me. And God says, but I sent you a log. I sent you, the paddle. I sent you a boat. You took none of that. Well, to me, that is what all of the things. I mean, God has given us our intellect. He has given us resourcefulness. God has given us all of the things that we come to manifest in this plane. And it is a disservice to the gift of humanity to decide to only use a piece of it because of some erroneous attachment we have to what that help is supposed to look like. And I think that in the end, when the days come to answers to that, we will be wrong. I mean, there's really just no other word for it. We will be wrong.
Absolutely correct.
So we have to switch to our right thinking and understand that all these things that God has given us are part of the resource. We understand that God is source and the people and things are resources, and so we have to utilize it in that way. And I think it's a disservice for any church not to give their congregation all the tools they need to be a whole, complete individual.
Can I just say something? Can I also just say something? For one, I want to thank our listeners. I always have to kind of break in and thank our listeners for tuning in. Caller, don't go anywhere because I want to say something to you. But I hope so much that everybody is enjoying this show as much as I am. I am so full. I'm full. I'm overflowing with gratitude for the conversation, for the topic, for the callers, for the interest in the show. I hope everybody that, if you didn't get a chance to call in, those that the producers posting online, you can reach us at Twitter at Loudmouth 2Ds and give us your feelings, your feedback, post topics that you want to bring up within this show as well as others. If you do go there, you want to do the hash mark, which is the number sign, Loudmouth with 2Ds radio. So I definitely want to put that out there because I know we have some people. I get so caught up sometimes I forget to do the chat. I'm so glad we have a producer. She's amazing. So I want to give kudos to the listeners, our producer of the show. But I also wanted to say that one of the things that I find very important is honesty when it comes down to the churches that you're attending. And I know I'm getting ready to just go way out there, but, it's my show. I can do that.
That's right.
And it's my show. But I wanted to kind of address our listener, and because it was my story, and it has been my story. I searched for a long time, as that song says. I searched, couldn't find nobody, absolutely nobody that would hear me for truth's sake, that would reach me where I was, not where they thought I should be. And one of the main things that I began to do was get a voice to say, this is not where I need to be. This is not the church for me because I'm not getting the answers I'm searching for. And I don't mean that in this, this spiritual up in heaven-ish kind of thought pattern. I mean, I'm really searching to find an answer. And as I stated earlier, I grew up in church, and we all similar backgrounds of how being in church and different, denominational backgrounds. But when I begin to say, I have an issue, I have some deep issues from childhood, from sexual abuse, from mental to physical, you name it, done it, been there. When I begin to say, I have been abused, I have tried to commit suicide, I have bipolar disorder that I live with daily, I have this, that, and the third. Do you understand the freedom, number one, for me?
Yes.
The work began in me speaking out about me. I began to say the labels so I then would know how to address the labels for me. This was in my lowest form, and then saying, okay, it is time for me to get therapy. It is time for me to stop lying to myself, being the victim myself, being victimized, and going to my leaders and saying, can you give me direction? Not only do I want you to pray with me that I find the counselor that I need for me. And when I tell you, in a women's empowerment meeting, and I ended up becoming the women's empowerment director or leader, I would say. I didn't really direct people, but I led to the best of my ability. It allowed me to hear one of the most dynamic doctors, Dr. Jennifer Fennell. I don't know if you know her, but she's amazing. And she was so real with me. It was no, let's tiptoe around the daisies, lay back on the couch and just, whatever you like, whatever you think. It was like, look, girl, this is the real deal, okay? And from that point, I began to see things that I wasn't getting in some of the churches that I had attended, and it made me go, it may work for whoever, but it didn't work for me. And when we get to that place, to me, this is my opinion, when we get to the place of honesty where we are, if we're attending over and over and over and over, as it has been stated tonight, if we're attending over and over and over and we're doing the same thing, hearing the same thing, but we're not doing something different, we're never going to change. We're never going to get the help.
I absolutely.
So
faith without works is really dead.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you for sharing that story, Jazzie, and I
You're
pray
so welcome.
that for people that need to come to that point, quite honestly, they only come to that point in themselves on their own. And I just appreciate you sharing that story. I'm just going to continue to pray.
You're so welcome. Just know that not only are we praying with you, and when I say with you and anybody that's listening, we're all, as Dr. Smith said, we all need to counsel each other. We all have to have support in so many ways, not only just through prayer. We have a phenomenal team, and their information will be posted. You can you can reach me directly at bareheads@gmail.com if you ever need to talk about something. If I cannot answer, God knows I will point you to so many therapists that I stand behind, that I believe in. We love you dearly. Trust that, because you only are in existence because we are, and I am only in existence because you are, right where you are.
And always remember, dear, that a real winner never quits. A real winner never quits. And you have it within you. You have it within you to overcome any and every obstacle, because God created you uniquely
it's not for me, but I'm going to pray for someone else.
Okay.
I'm looking at other ways, but it's the exact story, and I just can, from the outside, only pray hard for someone that I love, and even if I love them from a distance and never instantly again, my prayers, I hope, make a difference.
Perfect.
Well, it's also very important, sister, that you understand that if it's someone close to you, and I can tell from your energy that it is, that, you know, you also can experience what we call secondary or vicarious trauma. Mm-hmm. So it's very important for you to recognize that, you know, we're all connected. So if it's for someone you love, it is also for you. And so you have to really take in that information and make sure you practice good self-care for yourself as well, in even being the loved one of someone going through any of the things that we've talked about.
Thank
you. You're so welcome. Oh, my God, guys, this is amazing. I asked somebody to send me some word other than wow. Nobody on this panel has given me a word. I'm going to keep saying wow because I honestly have no other word at all, period. I'm so excited, and I knew, Dr. Smith, as we talked about, that this would not just be a one segment show.
By no means.
By no means. It's so many areas that we can touch on. It's so many topics that we can bring into play that people are really dealing with on a daily basis. And I remember when I was going through, and I know some of you can attest to this, that for me, I didn't do the whole, you know, day by day. Was ever, you know, just take a day by day. I didn't have that accessibility. I had second by second. Yeah. When I was in the middle of the floor and couldn't get up because I had been beat so badly, knowing, okay, it's Saturday night, I got a real good beating, I can barely move, my children are in the room, in the other room, and I got to pretend like it's okay, and then getting up the next morning and going to church, and, you know, hey, Sister Jazzie, how are you? And that hug almost broke me into pieces. And, you know, not being able to share it with anyone. Knowing how, you know, had been raped very early, and it's my fault. Of course it's my fault because I was in the wrong place, wrong time. I really wasn't, but that was my thought process. And knowing I got to go to church, and knowing that I just had second by second to get through the day. I mean, literally. And every positive, every good scripture, everything that had ever shined any light for me was all I had to get through it. It took me going through all of those horrific things very early, because I got married very early, had my children early. But it took me going through all those horrific things very early in my life to finally address them after I finally spiraled all the way down. I never did drugs. I never, you know, drank. I never did any of those things. I just danced my way through life. I sexed my way through life. And then I finally hit rock bottom. And that was just a few years ago when I finally addressed all of that and was able to come full circle with my own thought process and my own thought processes through therapy. So to be in this state where I'm having these fantastic panelists talk about the things that people really, I mean, these are real things. And as you said, Sharon, this is the new face of depression. I did a campaign a few years back, and it's called the new face of homelessness, which we don't even, you know, we just think it's the vagabond on the street. But no. If you lost your job and you had all your money wrapped up into a business or whatever the case, and you became homeless, you still have all of those clothes. You might even still have a car you're hanging on by the hair, your chin because it's about to be repossessed. All of these things that you're coming to church with, and nobody's addressing it. It's not opportunity for us to cover all of that in one night.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Something that you just said, Jazzie, was so important about church. I think many times people have pain but they can't name it. So since they can't name it, and because they don't think it's something, even though they feel bad. And so many times if we can't put a label on it, we won't get treatment. But many times I can look at a person's life and see the symptoms, because we'll find something to anesthetize the pain. You find when people don't drink and eat, but what do they have an eating disorder, they're violent, they're very bad interpersonal skills, they're cantankerous, they're not sleeping, they have GI disturbances, they have bladder disturbances, they have migraines. So many times people sometimes would treat the physical part of those things but not understand that those things are symptomatic of the emotional, mental turmoil that's inside. And one of the people who have been really helpful for me to understand that is my working with Imani Evans, and that's why I think it's so important for therapists. I think Dr. Smith said it, to have somebody, an accountability partner. I'm lucky, even though I do this work, I have this amazing business partner in Imani Evans that we can check in with each other, that we can talk about each other. So I'm grateful that I have, and I look at her as a gift of God, because she's there, I can do my work, and I make sure that I can stay objective and don't allow my issues to project on someone else. And so we have to be careful with therapists. If you don't have someone that you can connect with as accountability partner or your own mentor, your own therapist, sometimes we can bleed on people. And so one of the things I would say to anybody who does this work is to have that person or people who can be to stand in that gap with you as you do this work, because this is not easy work to do. And I'm just grateful that I have Imani Evans to do that for me. And I also have Troy Sanders at the Victory for the World Church. So I have a therapist on one side and a minister on another side to help ground me so I can do this work. You can't do, even you say that people can't heal alone, but you can't be a healer in isolation either. So I would advocate
in my division, and that's the federal government division, which I'm responsible for, Southeastern Regional. Every 9 months, without fail, it is a mandatory, and I repeat, mandatory, 2 weeks mental stress sabbatical leave. You don't have an option. Anybody in this field, be it ministry or be in private sector, if we're consistently intaking, we're physical beings, and in order to be productive and to be of positive help, we have to have accountability partners, and in most cases, we need counselors ourselves.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Dr. Smith, and with you, Sharon, and thank you for saying what you said. But, in truth, she is that to me as well. And the great thing about it is someone who can, Sharon for me is a business partner but also a friend. And so she can, lift me up in my glory in those times and celebrate me. And then she also puts her arms around me when I am in pain and reflects back to me who I say I want to be in the world, not a judgment of who I should be. Not a judgment of who I should be, not what the Bible says I must be, but who I said I wanted to be in the world in my relationship with God. And that is a very unique experience to have, and I value it, I treasure it.
That's a blessing.
So and I agree with you, Dr. Smith. I've been in the field for a very long time, and I've had my license since 98 or 99. It all starts running together. But, and I have had, for me, I don't know about you, Dr. Smith, but in both my master's program and in my doc program, we were required to go to therapy. I meet some therapists who don't have the requirement. I kind of thought that was mandatory for all of us. But I didn't know that not every program requires, and I feel blessed that was required for me. So,
oh, same here. Trust me, it was required, and I thank God every day that it was.
Absolutely, and I still see a therapist, and then I'm lucky to have ministers and therapists all around me. So I just I feel blessed in that way, and we need to be, and we also need to be very mindful of how we manage our energy when we do this work. You know, it's not, you're not doing anybody any favors by being a martyr. You know, because if you're not around to do the work, then you can't save anyone. You know, on the plane where they tell you put your mask on yourself first and then save other people. It's the same sort of thing. You know, you have to be able to provide yourself with that self-care, replenish yourself, do life-affirming things, so that we don't get stuck in a pattern and, you know, you'll be drowning before you're saving someone. So that piece is very critical.
Yes, it is.
Guys, I wanted to...
We hope that you've enjoyed this wonderful show, Denial in the Church on Bare Truth, Love, Life, Sex, and Flowers. And like we said earlier, this is a fantastic show. It was a great show to have as an archive show this evening. We want to make sure you stay connected with us. Listen out for us as we get prepared for our new season coming up in August. And definitely make your way out this weekend, if you can, to Tulupe's in Stockbridge, Georgia at 282 East Atlanta Road, Stockbridge, Georgia 30281. We'd like to thank our partners, our media partners, Fletcher & Sons Auto 2 Repair in Jonesboro, as well as Bright Car Spa in Atlanta at 360 Edgewood Avenue in Atlanta, open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit them online at brightcarspa.com. Thanks again, and have a blessed night.